Welcome back to wagertalk.com. We're going to continue with our series of how-to videos. In this one, well, everybody asked it. How to win betting sports. We're going to try to name some things for you guys to use to get you started on the right track to winning betting sports. And I'm going to kick it to you first, Ralph. And we teased something in the last video about an angle we were going to look up real quick before we did it here on there. You've got the numbers there, and you got something else you want to talk about that we're bringing to Wager Talk. But go ahead and tell us what we've got going on.
You know, we're going to start it with this video by saying you're going to see. I'm starting something new at Wager Talk, and it's going to be the top angles of the day. It'll be baseball, it'll be football, and you'll see some crazy numbers, some 20 and O's and 22 and O's. And Ed Meyer's Sports Data Query has an incredible database. I'll be getting all of his angles every day, sorting out the top ones and giving out the 5 or 10 free ones at Wager Talk. The first note I want to say is you don't want to base a play just on an angle, even if it has a great record. Even if it's 22 and 0, don't go make a bet because of that one angle. Make sure it fits in. It's part of your handicapping. You look at situations, you look at other things, and if the angle fits in that, great, it makes it a stronger play. But don't base a play just on that. You know, and we talked about earlier in the last video, Marco talked about Thursday night division home dogs and how easy it was to find out. Go to Wager Talk, look at the NFL query, and you can find this out for yourself. All we did is put in date Thursday, division game yes, home dog, and we found out that since 2013, those teams are 6-15 straight up, about what you would expect for a home dog. Against the spread, they've been under 500, going 8-11-2. But if you tease a 6-point teaser, a division home dog on Thursday night, that number is 14-6-1, 70%. So that variance of going from 42 against the spread to 70 with the teaser makes it a very, very available teaser play. And then if you look at those numbers that as we talked about last video, it makes it even stronger. So follow me at Twitter at CalSportsLV. That'll give you the link to the top 5 trends of the day. That'll be happening through baseball, through football, and through basketball year round. Good stuff there.
Brian, whenever anybody asks me, they want to, how do you bet sports for a living? How do you make, profit? The first thing I tell them is, and it's an old cliche everybody likes to use, but it's so true. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You guys that want to come in and try to make that quick score, that doesn't happen that way. You got to set up a bankroll. You've got to figure out the way you want to bet. Are you going to be a flat unit bettor where every bet is the same amount and you're just looking to win more, units than you lose? Or are you going to be somebody that, uses, you have a range, like at Wager Talk, we have 3%, 4%, 5%. So you're betting X number of dollars, on that way. Everybody has their own philosophy, which works best for them. For me, I've always thought that if you're a high volume guy, the flat betting is the only way to go. It takes your variance out. Everything is the same bet. If you bet lower volumes of games, I'm a proponent of mixing it up, but you keep that bet sizing close. The 3, 4, and 5, you're not playing, you're not making a range of 500, 1,000, and 50. You're not having that big of a range on what you're doing. Talk to you, things that you like to look at.
The problem most people have is they don't know what their projected winning percentage should be. If you know you're going to win more than 52.38, you would use Kelly criterion, and you would probably go, if you're conservative, use quarter Kelly. Nobody uses full Kelly because you just go broke. Ed Meyer, we talked about him in the last video. If you're betting 16% of your bankroll, and I read it in one of his books, and you're hitting 60%, you're a hell of a handicapper. Right. But if you're betting 16% of your bankroll, you're eventually going to go broke. Right. Now, how many people think a 60% handicapper will ever go broke? It's because you're betting too much of your bankroll. So first things I always tell people to do is make sure you've got a bankroll, and the bankroll is money that you will not touch. It does not, if your kid needs diapers, you don't take it out of the bankroll. If a bill's coming up, you don't take it out of the bankroll. That is money you set across before the season starts, that money that you're not going to touch, money that's not going to be needed for day-to-day necessities. And from that, you take basically 1-2% of your bankroll and you use that for what you want to bet on a game. Is it the $1,000 you want to bet on a game? Probably not, but you're going to lose your money if you're over betting. So say you have a $1,000 bankroll and you're only betting $10, $20 a game. That's still what you want to do until you find out what winning percentage you have. Second thing I look for is more than one out. We live in Las Vegas. There's probably 7 outs in Las Vegas. There used to be a lot more until everybody just started buying everybody out. Your offshores, obviously, there's your offshores out there. But one thing that I do, and I only really do it for football, is power ratings. If that way, when the opening lines come out, if I have my power rating set, I know where that line's going. If I make the line on a game 7 and the line opens at 10, I know it's going to be bet down, so I'll take the 10 right off the bat. And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing this year. Cheetah did that kind of thing last year for sports handicapping on our website for football. I'll be doing that. I'll be sending out my early plays off the Sunday night lines. But if you don't know where that line's going, you don't know what to bet. So get yourself, if you can't do power ratings on your own, get a good set of power ratings out there. There's a lot of them out there that could really help you out.
Ralph, obviously shopping for lines is one of the first and foremost. People don't realize that little half a point that you pick up on a game changes your winning percentage over a course of a season. And
by percentages, yeah, absolutely.
It's people don't understand that. And to elaborate, the one thing that you said, Brian, is the 52.38%. If you walk up to somebody on a street that's never bet, and you tell them, "Oh, we're hitting 60%," which if somebody's hitting 60% for the long term, that is absolutely phenomenal. But the average person looks at that and says, well, over 10 games, that's 6-4. When you came down to the last game, you were 5-4. You could have been 50%. What's that? They don't understand what the realm of percentages is, because they look at short term, and they look at, unfortunately, and I hope with the all of the new people that are going to be introduced to it, they're going to be lucky enough that they're not going to have to deal with the old days of the guy screaming about a 900 number or on a TV show. I hit 90%, call me for my luck of the year. There's still some people out there that have those games of the year. But
he does that really well. Huh?
Well, I'm not going to take my shirt off for like the one guy that did that.
Oh, please don't.
Okay, yes. Yeah. And well, they said please don't to him too after he did it. But you're not going to have to deal with that. But if you tell somebody 60, they don't understand what the value of that is.
You ask any sharp bettor, if I was to tell you before the season started that you're going to win 57% of your bets, they'd be out partying. They think that's the greatest thing in the world. If you tell them they're 55%, most people who aren't familiar will think, that's nothing, I could pick that. You pick 55% and you have enough games that you're betting on the season, you're going to have a really good year.
We're talking to some sharp bettors and we're talking to some new bettors on this video, but let's look at your 57%, which people would say, oh, that's so-so. So you're 57-43 on the year. You're paying 10% juice on the 43 losses, so you're 57 and 47.3. So you're plus 9.7 units, or you're plus 10 units. $100 bettors plus $1,000. $1,000 in a bankroll. You have 10 times your bet at the end of the year. You should be very happy with that. So, even at that 50% number, look at it at long term and know that that's what it means. A couple things you pointed out, Marco. Wager Talk has a 3, 4, 5% bet, and I like those numbers for a reason. People tend to get carried away by betting too much because a game has a title. Brian uses very few titles. I use a game of the month if I think a game is strong enough. But, the worst case scenario is if a handicapper goes 2-1, loses a 5% play, wins their 2 other plays. If you go 2-1 and you don't show a profit, you're betting too much on that top play, yep. Period. That should just tell you that if you go 2-1 and don't have a winning day, shame on you. I went through it at North Coast all the time. When North Coast had a 5-star play, people thought it was just the cat's meow and couldn't lose, and they would parlay it with everything and tease it and, if bets. Again, and we go 2-1 and that's a winning day, or I go 2-1 now and that's a winning day, you need to show a profit. So that's part money management. And again, while we all work for Wager Talk and we all sell our plays, make sure you can afford those plays. I mean, if you're going to sign up for someone for a month or a year, and you don't have the bankroll and you're hoping that they win their first 5 games, don't even buy us. I mean, only buy us if you can afford it, because it comes down to necessity. We want you as a long-term customer. We want you for customers for years, and that's what all our Wager Talk customers are. They're with us for a reason, because we do things the right way. So make sure after you paid for your service, you have a bankroll that can withstand, like you said, even if you have a 16%, you're betting 16% of your plays. If you're betting too much on those games, you need to withstand a losing streak and the winning streak.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's happened all.
Every capper has a losing streak.
Yeah.
So again,
if they tell you they haven't, they're lying to you.
Yeah. Right. So
good stuff. And one of the other things, and I'm just going to go brief on this one, because this is one where we can do a deep dive on and talk about for an entire video. But we talk about always finding value and how you find value. There's different ways to find value. One of the things that I like to do as far as finding value is being a contrarian. When you're opposite of what everybody else is thinking, you're going to have value in a number, because so much like, and when I say being a contrarian is an angle that I've used long time is a Monday night game, okay? One team gets blown out on Monday Night Football. Everybody in the world saw that game. And every average I'm not saying handicapper, every average bettor that saw that game drew a conclusion based on one game of what that team is. So the next week, because they got blown out, they're betting against them. I'll wait till game day, the following week, and I'm going to jump on that team that got blown out because, one, the public perception is they're not good, so they bet the other side. They bet it up higher than it should be. Vegas knows that's going to happen, so they opened the number a little bit higher than it should have been because of the public perception. And then I'm getting value with the team that, I use my old adage, nobody's as bad as their worst game or as good as their best game. And not only, if that team got embarrassed the previous week, these are human beings. They're pro athletes. They're going to come back and play hard the next week.
Yeah, I want to touch on something also where you'll be in a sports book and somebody will say, I'm all over the Packers next week.
Yeah.
And I love the Packers in that game the next week. Okay, you love the Packers. What line will you be playing the Packers at? And he'll say, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, well, are you going to bet them at -3? You're going to bet them at -7? You're going to bet them at -10? And he'll say, oh, I'm going to bet them at -3, 7, 10, whatever. Well, that's not how you bet sports. And if the line comes out 8, you're not going to bet them at 3. You're not going to bet them at 4. If you thought if you would have bet them at 10, the line comes out 8, then you're fine. But if you ask yourself that before the lines come out, then you set yourself up to be a lot smarter handicapper, because you're not betting it on emotion. Yeah. You're betting it saying, okay, even at 10, I would bet this. Line comes out 8, then you've got to bet.
Here's a tip. Here in Vegas, if you're lucky enough to be in Vegas, and we post these things at Wager Talk, a lot of these things that we talk about in places, they put out numbers and stuff early or whatever, and you're not in Vegas, but you don't have access to that. We put them up at Wager Talk, and one of them that we do every week is Westgate puts out NFL look-ahead lines. If we're playing this week, they put out the lines before the games are played this week for next week's NFL games. That's a great tool, because what you get to see then is exactly what I'm talking about, public perception from one game. All right, they might have had the Steelers -5 going in, to next week, but the Steelers win by 28 points this week, and all of a sudden that line comes out at 7. Did that one game really justify moving the line 2 points? Did you go back and look and see if the other team had 4 turnovers or something that, made it an overreaction and the score was lopsided? I think that's a great tool for the average bettor to look at.
2 more notes just to add to your guys' thoughts. Brian, I know you're our MAC guy, and MAC Tuesday and Wednesday games are there because ESPN wants to show them, people bet them. But, my rule is simple. If you want to bet those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games, we know how popular they are. Pretend that MAC game was on your card on Saturday and you're looking at all 52 games. Would that MAC game on Tuesday be a play on Saturday with Alabama playing Auburn, Ohio State playing Michigan. If it's not a play on Saturday, do not play it on Tuesday. Do not force a game because it's on TV. I think that's the worst thing people probably do with Monday and Thursday nights. And, something I've told my customers, often that want more action and it's just not there. I always say it's better to leave a winner off your card than it is to put a loser on. You're paying 10% for every loss. So if there's a game you're thinking about and you want action to play, don't play it. If it's a legitimate play and you like it, or a service you followed gave it out and you're following them, that's fine. But every time you put 2 games on and one wins and loses, you're paying that extra 10%, or we'll see what happens across the states. Hopefully it's only 10%. So if in doubt, leave it off.
Yeah, and last thing, and I'll close out. We talked about the titles on games and stuff. Here at Wager Talk, we don't have any games of the year. We don't do that. And when, we did have them before, but when we had it, you had one game of the year. There are sites, and I won't mention anybody's names, but you can figure out which ones they are. They have games of the year every frickin' day, okay? I remember one time, and it was so comical. Because of some fluke in a scheduling thing, they had to schedule a college football game on a Sunday, okay? I think it was SMU playing. And there was a capper on this particular site, and they let him do it, had his Sunday college football game of the year. That was the only game that was played on Sunday the entire year, and sold it as a game of the year. I'm sorry. That's just insulting your intelligence to do stuff like that, and we don't do that at Wager Talk. So be careful with that. Guys, appreciate the stuff. We're going to have more videos like this where we're talking about handicapping and looking at different angles, talking about theories, things that we've used. And at this table right here alone, these are the 3 of us. What do we got years in the business? I'm going on 38.
You're about 100 between us, I think.
Yeah, it's close. So, guys, a lot of experience that we'll share with you, help you be a better handicapper. And again, like I said in the other video, if you have any questions, topics that you want us to talk about, send them in. Put it in the comment section, or hit one of us up at Twitter. We will talk about it and do it for you. And again, if you like these videos, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to share it with all your friends. We'll have more of that at Wager Talk. And don't forget, you can always buy any of us 3 or 7 day package, $59 for a 3-day package, $99 for a 7-day package. We'll be back with more here at wagertalk.com.